Good morning everyone, it is Krebs here. Today we're going to be going over the recent development of Heroes and Generals into its closed beta stage, alright? So just recently transferred over from the alpha stage over to the closed beta stage just because they're actually working on forward to getting this game published and out. So a lot has changed since the alpha stage, that's for sure. I remember the first time ever when this game was actually used for stress testing. There was a lot of things to say that they could work on, but thankfully enough, now that the game's in closed beta stage, a lot has been improved, and you can quite comfortably play the game without noticing too many problems. However, what I'm going to be talking about in this video is the pros and cons that I noticed from about a 30-minute gameplay that I had yesterday. Now I'm just going to start off with that. I play the game quite periodically. I don't play it all the time just because there is quite a high standard out there with first-person shooters at the moment, and I wouldn't really consider myself a beta tester or anything like that. I enjoy playing the final product, but I don't mind actually just going on periodically to actually see what a game is like and how it's being developed. And I can already tell you guys right now that a lot has actually been worked on thus far. Now let's hit on the pros. What is fun so far? Vehicles are fun. So what I managed to actually do, I didn't actually go into any tanks, unfortunately, just because for some reason I only noticed there being one room with the majority of people in there, so I just joined that. There wasn't any tanks, it was just basically just light vehicles like Jeeps and such. And so managed to get in the Jeep, and I think the best stuff about it is just driving around. It's really fast, it's really nice, especially when you're going through nice scenic areas. And also the great thing about it is especially when you're on the turret gunner, okay? So for example, you know, the turret gunner is absolutely fine. If you want to see a little bit more about what's cool with the turret gunner, you should check out the new video that Rito Moto posted up for Heroes in General, where at the very end of that video for the closed beta that they were showing off, they showed basically a maximum capacity Jeep with just all these guys hanging off the side, so it's pretty cool. Other thing that I really like is combat fights. When you go up to, when you say you're in a tense moment, there's somebody in front of you, you get into a gunfight with them, you're just flinging bullets at each other. That is absolutely great. I do get a sense of a bit of tense moments when you're actually trying to kill somebody, because you die in a few bullets, just like any other game I suppose, but it seems like it's a bit more sensitive in this game, so you do die quite easily. And so yeah, there you go, right? Also, capturing territory is always fun. I imagine this is obviously going to be the main criteria, main purpose of the game, since you have that whole world map sort of thing to go by. Then you're going to be capturing territory in each battle. That can be quite fun, especially when both teams are fighting for specific areas. You know, for example, we have one team held up in some houses, and then you'll have the enemy team trying to approach the defending team through, I don't know, various ways, through the encompassing environment behind trees, or sometimes they'll even rush in with jeeps and stuff like that. It's pretty cool, and I love the idea behind it. At least it's not like just simple deathmatch, you're running around the map just trying to kill as much people as you can. There's actually a purpose in this, and it's part of a larger grand scale of things when you're trying to conquer the world map, okay? Now let's head on to things that I wish could be developed. So this is going to be my wish list in the coming patches and so on and so forth. What I really like to get worked on in Heroes and Generals is specifically map design. I love the urban areas. That is, I think, something that doesn't really need work on. The urban areas are really scenic. You got these buildings just lining the streets. You've got multiple sheds, for example, and benches and whatever else. And that is absolutely fine. But as soon as you get out with the urban areas, when you're out in the outdoors, then I think that's where there needs to be some improvement. It seems a bit stale in my opinion, where the land is quite barren. You have just occasionally a few rocks, you have lots of trees, but still it doesn't really seem like an authentic environment. And if I was to give Heroes and Generals, the developers at Rito Moto, a idea of how they could work on it, what I would probably do is tell them to look at Battlefield 3. As a highly polished game that is, all you have to do is simply look at the outdoor maps on that game, and you can just tell the amount of detail that goes in it, the flowing streams, the rocks everywhere, a lot of attention to small details, and it feels like it's actually a proper environment where you actually feel like you're outdoors in the wilderness, right? Also, one thing more about map design is also the indoors aspect. A lot of times you'll go into buildings and there's not really that much in them, and it sort of detracts you from the whole scene of World War II, because you go into these buildings, obviously houses that people have owned, and there's no furniture or anything like that in there, so I'm not sure if they're actually planning on doing this, but good idea also is to look at Red Orchestra 2 for this example, where you'll go into a building that will be bombed out. There will be planks strewn across the ground. There will be stone and masonry everywhere. There's also hints of that there was life there. You got benches, you've got these this furniture that was there that populated the indoors, and so it brings a bit of life, and it keeps you in that sense that, oh, this is an actual battle, it's not just a game. So I think that would be a good idea for Heroes and Generals to work on. Next thing is character animations are a bit rigid. So, for example, when you're moving around, it's in general fine, but still you're sort of lacking a little bit in the authenticness of human running. Again, I think another great example is to look at Battlefield 3, where you get a better sense of just when you're running. Also, the transitions, when you're diving to prone, it feels authentic in Battlefield 3, but here, it seems like you're just sort of diving and that's about it. When you're crouching, you move very, very slowly, and I think that's a bit strange. I know, obviously, you do move slowly, but not at that slow of a pace. It's actually going in Heroes and Generals. Also, other things, for example, some bugs with losing weapons. One example was I was just trying to cycle through my weapons just to see what I had, and I don't know how this happened. Maybe I dropped my machine gun, but I simply switched it over to my knife, and I tried to switch back. I couldn't do it. I looked up the controls on how to switch weapons, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, page up, page down, what it usually is in games, and it wasn't working, so I have no idea. I have a feeling that might be actually a glitch or a bug. I just lost my weapon, and so all I was armed with was a knife. Thankfully, I died quite soon after that, so at least I got my weapon back. Another point I want to hit on is sound when others are moving. When I was in the building, one thing I actually want to commend Heroes and Generals for doing here is that sound is great in this game. As in, you can hear people walking on planks, you can hear people walking around you. And so, when you especially have a higher end headset and a higher end sound card, where you have this dynamic sound system where it's 3D sound essentially, you can hear it coming from around you, then it actually makes you feel a bit more involved in the actual fight, and gives your senses a bit of a working out, so to say, so that you know where the enemy is coming from. The one problem though with this system that Heroes and Generals has at the moment is that it is not completely dynamic. As in, what the mistake was here was that I could hear people downstairs when it sounded like they were upstairs in the other room, and that didn't really make sense to me. So obviously the sound penetrates through the entire building, and I know that sort of does happen in real life, but to some extent, you know, it gets softened a bit. And so what I'd like to see is the sound perhaps be dampened by the amount of walls between you and the enemy, for example, or anyone else in the building, just so it gives you a better sense of exactly where the enemy is, because there's a lot of times when I was just hearing these footsteps and sort of thinking like, oh god, the enemy's just about to come into the room, when really they were just downstairs, but still it was kind of weird. Anyway, the final point that I want to make is a better guide for newbies. So in the closed beta footage that Heroes and Generals posted on their channel, they're actually discussing what the game's premise is all about. Basically, you can reinforce these battles, you can send different sort of, I don't know, squads, assault groups to these battles, and then you can, you know, stuff like that, right? A better guide for newbies, though, is because when you first jump into Heroes and Generals, it's a little bit difficult to actually get a grasp of what the game is actually about, what the premise is, and what you're supposed to be doing. Yes, we understand the whole aspect about capturing territory, but we probably like I don't know, maybe a video of some sort or interactive tutorial that actually shows you exactly what the purpose is and what you're trying to accomplish. Where are you supposed to go? Who are you supposed to kill? How are you supposed to do it? How can you change it? And so on and so forth, right? Alright, so that's all the points that I have to make about Heroes and Generals at the moment. And I'm looking forward to hopefully getting some of these things I've discussed implemented in the game. Hopefully, anyway. But I look forward to any future developments that are going to come out. The game has a lot of potential, and I'm going to be checking it out every now and then when updates have been made. I'm really looking forward to the finished product as well, and hopefully that'll be coming sometime soon, since it's in the closed beta. It's moving on forward, right? Anyway, guys, so thank you for watching this, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment in the comment box below. But until next time, I will see you all later. Bye-bye.